Okay, guys, as I said, so my name is Hugo Newman. I'm a co-founder of Viva Financial Tuition. Viva Financial Tuition has been in operation since 2016. We are an award-winning online tuition provider for accountancy students. And our motto, or our mission, I suppose you could say, is delivering elite online tuition without the premium price tag. That's what we're all about. And this year we are rolling out our first ACCA online courses, and we're very excited about that. And we want to bring our CIMA success, our model in CIMA, and our track record of premium tuition in CIMA to the ACCA space. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do this year. As I said, we're an award-winning online accountancy tuition provider. We've helped over 10,000 students pass their exams. We have a 4.8 out of 5 average student satisfaction rating on Trustpilot. Now, that's actually changed recently. It's up to 4.9. as of just a few days ago, because the reviews keep rolling in. So we're now officially at 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. Trustpilot is one of these third-party review platforms where people can go and just review any business that they want, any company online or offline or whatever it may be. It's completely separate from us. We've no control over what people write there, so they can just go on and write whatever they want. That can be good and bad, but it does make for more reliable reviews. And that's where our 4.9 out of 5 rating comes from. So feel free to go there and check us out and see what students have to say about us. We have a track record of helping World Prize winning students. So we have a number of World Prize winning students who studied with us at every level of the CIMA qualification, and we are a CIMA registered tuition provider. And we won this Global Pass Rate Excellence Award back in 2020. And the most relevant thing for you, of course, is we are now moving into the ACCA space and bringing that model to ACCA online tuition throughout 2023. But as of the end of March, we will actually have our audit. We will have a AAA and AA both ready to go by the end of this month. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. We'll be sending out notifications on the mailing list, and then throughout April and May, we're going to have a bunch of other subjects coming online for ACCA as well. It's going to be a really exciting time, lots happening at the same time, so keep an eye on that mailing list if you're already subscribed. If you're not already subscribed, I'm going to be sharing a link in the chat very shortly where you can register with our mailing list. You'll get all the notifications, early bird deals on our courses as we launch them, our online courses, and you'll also get access to a 64-page subject-by-subject pass guide, which is completely free, and students seem to be really enjoying that as well. So just to give you a very quick preview of what we're kind of going to be doing with ACCA, we're going to be adapting this CIMA All Access model, which we currently have in CIMA, to the ACCA space. And this is just knockout value, where you get access to every single ACCA subject, all 15 subjects, for a year, and you can renew year on year. Exceptional value, just unbelievable value for premium online tuition compared to many of the traditional providers. And that's what we're going to be doing with ACCA as well eventually. We'll start out with the individual subjects, so they'll be launched kind of discreetly throughout 2023, starting with certain subjects, and you can buy them discreetly. But then as we have these more and more subjects going live, we'll be bundling these together, and you'll be able to get that all access model with ACCA as well. So keep an eye out for that. As I said, we have this free ACCA subject-by-subject pass guide. I'm going to be sharing the link in the chat. I already shared it earlier on, so if you want to scroll up, but I'll be sharing it again just for ease of access. We have, loads of advice in this pass guide on, from examiners reports, from prize-winning students in ACCA, their advice, their tips, what they did, things that they would avoid next time, and so on and so forth for each subject. We have, outline of the subject structure, the pass rates, lots of really useful information in there, and lots of links as well to useful free ACCA resources. And that's where someone like James comes in. James has an amazing catalog of free online ACCA resources to guide you, to help you. And we link to that throughout our ACCA subject-by-subject pass guide as well. So a good platform to access those free materials. Just to give you a very kind of quick view of where we stand in terms of, how we compare with what's already out there, and in terms of just how much our students appreciate what we're doing in terms of what we've done for them in CIMA. We take a very kind of personalized approach to our tuition. We're really about just focusing on students' problems and trying to solve them in a hands-on way, but also just with a great catalog of premium on-demand content that they can fall back on, that they can use in their own time. So there's that flexibility as well. We run live sessions, live webinars. We have mock exam feedback, marking guidance, just really hands-on tuition in an online platform. So you can see here, we've just got this, these two examples. If you want to read them in your own time, or when you come back and watch the replay of this, you can dig into these reviews. But you'll notice the words support and help and just feeling like we were really there for them. That's what we're all about at Viva. And again, we're looking to bring that across to the ACCA space as well. You can see here up in the top right of this slide, there's kind of a benchmark of where we stand versus kind of the category average for this particular space. We're in the career and education provider space within the Trustpilot categorization. The average you can see here is 3.7 out of 5. We're standing at 4.8 and actually 4.9 as of a few days ago. So that's just to give you a sense of where we stand in terms of the comparison with some other traditional, I guess you could say, more traditional tuition providers. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Not going to say much more. That's just my little plug for Viva. I'm going to get the hell out of the way, and we're going to hand over to James, and he can give you lots of really useful tips and advice. So James is going to stop sharing, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
That's all right. Thank you very much, Hugo, on that. And before Hugo dashes off, everyone, it's great to see that so many of you have already posted in the chat. We would love to hear which exam you've got coming up, that you've tuned into today's webinar, and also which actual location you're tuning in from around the world. So we've got Dion tuning in from sunny England on there with the law paper. We've got Cyprus with LOTA for tax as well. So we've got a real variety of people tuning in all around the world, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And it's so that we can actually tailor the webinars, because what the Viva team do with their students is all personalized, which is the part of the actual webinar today, that we will be answering your questions directly. That sort of one-to-one approach on there that is really the sort of unique USP on there that is really, really helpful. That I know some of you have probably got your last exam in March as well, and hopefully with these final tips, some of you have got the exams next week. It could be the difference that you'll look back on this webinar and you'll go, oh my word, that was the difference in me getting a 50 and a 51. Obviously the wise words of Hugo and James on a delightful Friday afternoon. What more could you want in your head of your weekend on there? But any other final bits, Hugo, before you dash off and you leave me to take the reins for today?
No. If anyone has any queries regarding Viva specifically, James obviously is going to be speaking and focusing on ACCA and the subjects and the difficult subjects and things like that. But if you're looking for information about Viva specifically in terms of our courses, or when we're launching our courses and things like that, you can send an email to info@vivatuition.com. Okay, so again, I'll add that to the chat. But apart from that, it's over to you, James, and thanks very much, everyone. Hope you enjoy the session.
Marvelous. Thank you very much. And it's great to see some familiar names also in the chat. Hello, Luke and Sharoon. Oleg's joining us today as well. Thank you very much, Hugo. And really, everyone, welcome to a delightful Friday afternoon where, I couldn't think of what else you would like to be doing with your day than spending it on a webinar with me, chatting about ACCA. And hopefully the things we can talk about today will provide you a bit of benefit as to your examination or examinations for next week, for you lucky people that are maybe doing two on there. We're going to talk about some tips that could help you out between now and the March exam, or if you're planning ahead of June. And obviously for the webinar's purposes, it was designed, as Hugo mentioned it at the start, about the hardest ACCA exam, where myself and the Viva team, we've done collaborations before about how my experience of ACCA has gone, and I'm quite brutally honest, where I'm not one of these prize winners or anything like that things were all marvelous in my world. I'm quite open and honest as to, we have some people here today who have never met me before or never watched any of my videos or anything like that. The videos are obviously out there to help you, to put you to sleep at night. So feel free to pop those on before you go to bed. They'll help you out on there. But this is my ACCA journey that I'm completely transparent that on my webinars that I like to run, especially with the Viva team here, is a case of complete honesty as to that was me when I was on an ACCA study contract, working in tax, working in accounts on there. Going through, I got some exemptions. So we might have some people here today who are planning on applying for exemptions, or you've got the exams coming up, no matter which one you've got on there. Then I used to work full time. I used to do online tuition. I've done face-to-face. And now with the way of the world and sort of for the collaborations that I'm delighted to get involved in, I think the online space is a fantastic place for students to actually engage with ACCA, learn the tuition, and I'm delighted to be working with the Viva team on there for one of their courses coming up as well. So that is fantastic. But when I was studying, sadly, there were the highs, passing the odd 50, 51, which some of you will just be with your hands just praying for that for next week. But to be honest with you, with the minor highs, there were some tragic lows as well. So I'm quite open to saying that I have failed the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam in the past. I never worked in audits, not that that is an excuse. And I also failed the Advanced Taxation exam. So if you have those examinations coming up for this sitting, I'm more than happy to advise on that. Because there might be some students here today that actually might not actually be able to see that light at the end of the tunnel that you can see there from myself and my study buddy, where we used to help each other out. And I never had a webinar like this where I could literally ask someone anything and he would give me a completely honest answer that would also help out other students who are joining the session as well. So you'll be able to see we have the open chat box on there and also the Q&A box. So I encourage you that whilst we're live and we're recording this, you can also play it back if you're watching the recording for, who knows, for your weekend fun on it. But this is your opportunity to ask me absolutely anything on any exam. As Hugo kindly mentioned, they popped some of my free resources in the fantastic guide that the Viva team have on there. So it's a case of I'd highly recommend you download that. That's a real nice Bible, and the details are in the chat so that you can get on the mailing list and to keep in touch with myself and the team because we'll be doing more future collaborations ahead of June, September and December this year. Because obviously the final eyes on the prize is that annoying time when you log into LinkedIn and you see someone's uploaded a photo of them with their certificate. And I was that person back in the day, which I'm thankfully an FCCA now, which does make me sort of put things in perspective a bit, where you go, oh my word, time is flying. But you guys who are joining us today are all at different points in your ACCA journey. Now, I want to give some bespoke advice. That's why I encourage the direct questions. So the material for today is all sort of like an overview for ACCA. But if you want anything tailored for your particular exam, again, just pop it in the Q&A. I'll be more than happy to answer them directly as we go through and link it into the hardest exams that I ever sat. But this is how you're going to get to that ACCA membership. You're all at different stages, recording your experience. Some of you will have done your ethics and professional skills module on there. And then we're going to be helping people today, whether they're at the applied knowledge level or on the professional papers. Because the point of today, ladies and gentlemen, is, first of all, to answer the question of the webinar as to what is the hardest ACCA exam. That again, this is my personal opinion on there, because there will be some students who are deciding which exam to go on to. Now, from the options that I picked, as I admitted, advanced taxation and advanced audit were my two picks at the option paper. And as you would imagine, as you go through your ACCA journey and you get onto you go through the applied knowledge, or if you've had some exemptions at the applied skills, and then you get onto the strategic, professional and option papers, it's really on the strategic, professional and option papers that everyone on this call is going to find their hardest examination. No doubt about it on there, okay? But then we get on to, well, which one is it going to be? Now, as I said at the start, I failed the advanced taxation and I failed the advanced audit. I then came back to pass advanced tax with 64, And then I think advanced audit, I got 55 or 57. SVL was sort of a combination of the old P1 and P3, which I got 64 on, which was quite nice. It's quite businessy. And then the SBR, I think I got 50 or 51 on it. So it was a completely sort of hairline pass. But if you want my completely honest opinion, out of all of those that I thought was the hardest, by far and away, I would say the taxation one. If for anyone who's got the advanced taxation book or whoever's done it before, it is the largest book you will potentially have in your life on there, probably. But coming on to it as well, a caveat to that and sort of a swing round. If you were to ask me the most beneficial exam that I've ever done before, it would be the advanced taxation one, because when you get out into the real world, I was invited to a networking event last night to play golf, of all things. I don't know if I give off a golf vibe over a webinar. I can tell you now I am not a golfer on there. But when other business owners come up to you and you say, oh, you know, what do you do? I said, oh, lecturer, a qualified ACCA accountant. They go, oh, all right, I recognize ACCA. That's cool. I'm having a bit of issue with my business and stuff, but all this stuff going on in the government with tax and all this sort of stuff. And trust me, if I hadn't have done that advanced taxation module, oh my word, I really struggle. And the real world application for it, I would highly, highly recommend that you actually do it. So even though I'm saying it's the hardest one out there, it's been the most beneficial to me as well in terms of my life on there and helping out family, friends, and other bits and bobs in my world. So it all comes down to, I never worked in audit, but I picked advanced audit and assurance because I went, you know what, could go work in there in the future. Who knows how things pan out? The other thing that you may want to be considering, especially if you're at the applied skills level position at the moment, is actually, well, what mark did I get on the applied skills modules? And then how does that translate to the option that I picked? So if, for example, you didn't do very well on audit and assurance, is picking the advanced one an actual good sort of situation for you on there? So maybe tailoring your pick for the option papers based on your applied skills selections, how you got on, and then also in terms of, well, do you go at it a bit more sort of tactically? Well, are you currently working in audit? Because surely then you would pick it then on there. But then you've also got the consideration of the actual pass rates. So coming on to it, the best pass rates at the option papers, they float around sort of 40% for advanced financial management and advanced taxation. Advanced performance management and advanced audit and assurance float around sort of 32% on there. So again, it's if you're going at it at a purely maths basis, then it's a case of probably go for advanced financial management or advanced taxation. And the other bit of advice I'd give you is, I speak to lots of qualified ACCA members, and some of them go, oh, we should have picked that because I really wanted to go and work in that sector. I did APM at the time because I thought it was all right and I was quite good at it, but I wanted to go work in wealth management. So I really should have picked advanced financial management and learned some of the concepts on there, because what will happen then in future life is that you end up having to go back and relearn it anyway on there. So maybe from a career perspective, if you're thinking about maybe going into industry, sort of management accounting, then advanced performance management is the one for you. If you're thinking about wealth management, as I said, maybe going into investments, portfolios, advanced financial management would be a good one on there. But then the other two, advanced taxation, does what it says on the tin. Maybe you want to have even more fun in your life and go to become a CTA, that's a chartered tax advisor. So, of course, advanced taxation would be the recommended option there, or to go work in the tax sector, HMRC, for example. Or finally, at the end, advanced audit and assurance. So maybe we might have a few people joining us today who work at the Big Four and work in audit and assurance on there. So it's just to emphasize their knowledge and to go into a bit more detail for it. But the other bits of advice for today, based on the examinations and the sort of hardest ones and other things that will help your ACCA journey out, is I touched on the ethics and professional skills module previously on the breakdown of the 4 different squares to become ACCA qualified. Now, the stats all tell us this is not going to help you ahead of the March exams, because you haven't got time now ahead of the weekend. We're going to come on to some study tips after this. But ahead of the June exams, maybe you've got SBR, SBL, or you're doing some options or applied skills. What there's going to be is a small gap between March, when you've done your exam next week, and there's a sort of 5-6 week gap between when you actually get your results. Now, I would honestly highly recommend for everyone on this webinar to start and even complete your ethics and professional skills module. So I know some of you will have a pen and paper today, or maybe you're taking notes on your phone. Honestly, one of the things so many students regret, that they end up doing the exams, then they do the ethics and professional skills module, and they find out that quite a lot of the things that they were doing at the applied skills, especially in like audit and assurance, financial reporting, it links into that ethics and professional skills module on there. And if you want some real fun for a Friday night, especially if you've got SBR and SBL coming up in June, ACCA put on their website, directly on the free resources, that students' percentage chance of passing the strategic and the option papers go up by 25% if they've actually done that ethics and professional skills module. So what that means in layman terms is ACCA, for every sitting, have the list of everyone who's done every exam, and they can find out on their My ACCA account when you log in, has this student actually done that ethics and professional skills module? And they work out the comparison to see, right, these are all the people that passed, these are all the people that failed, and the more likely you are to pass is that you've done the ethics and professional skills module. And that's why you can see it on the slide on here through the little green line, is that you can start to do it at the applied skills or the strategic level. Honestly, it's a game changer that anything in these exams, because they're so tricky to pass, to help you to pass, you should be doing it. So, and look, I know we've got people who are joining us today where you go, you know what, James, I just want to focus on the exam for next week. And then after that, I just want a break and whatever. Cool stuff. That's all right. 6 weeks on there, you've got between doing your exam and getting your results. I'd recommend you put it down as a small target on there. And trust me, it will help you out. And it could just be the difference in getting that sort of 50, 51 plus on there as well. The final bit of advice before we go on to some more sort of generic tips as to help you out between now and your exam next week is really your sort of selections ahead of the June and September sittings. So again, if anyone wants more clarity on this, I see we've got a few questions popping up in the chat, but again, use the Q&A as well. I'm going to go back and answer them all. So feel free to post any in there to help. Is, of course, the March examination coming up is the last sitting where the current tax rules, allowances, rates that they have in there is applied. So there's and again, not to make anyone feel a bit sort of under pressure on this, but it's sort of one of those where if you can get through tax or advanced taxation in the March sitting, maybe you're resitting it, that would be very, very helpful for you on there. Because if you had to resit in June, there would be new rules, new allowances on there. So the key bit of advice for anyone here today is, if you still have to do taxation as an applied skills module, or advanced taxation, you're thinking of doing it as an option, and I'd really consider you doing that, starting it to learn it for June or for September on there, because then at least, say for instance, if you did fail it, you've then got at least 1 or 2 sittings if required, and you can use the same books obviously on there, and it will be the same sort of format, and your notes would still be applicable. So definitely something to consider. Also on that are the professional skills marks. Now, I'm sure we're going to have a few questions on that today, as well, as they've already been embedded into SBR, SBL, Advanced Financial Management, Advanced Performance Management, and Advanced Audit and Assurance on there. And if you don't know what the professional skills marks are, again, feel free to let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to break them down. We can share some links as well to help you out. But keynote for anyone doing advanced taxation in June, September, December, March next year is that is when the professional skills marks will kick into play. So that's where you have to show your professional acumen on there. You've got to have a questioning mindset. You've got to have a good writing style as if you're talking to one of your managers. So that's where you're going to have 80 technical marks and then 20 professional skills marks on there. So it's just being clear as to, yes, you're still going to have the report formats and breaking it down in that way. But it's again, marks that you've got to be picking up on. They are so important for you. Now, another thing to help anyone out who's got to still do SBL, okay? There is a major change coming up, which again, I mentioned it at the start of the webinar, that obviously I'm so cool, I get these questions every day on it. So you guys have got the opportunity to ask me today straight away, is SBL is changing its format this year, okay? So if you've still got to do SBL, or maybe you're doing it this time, just to be aware, is that SBL is currently in the March 2023 sitting a 4-hour paper on there, okay? In June 2023, it is also going to be a 4-hour paper with reading time on there. But then coming into September 2023, it's going down to a 3.25-hour paper and going to have pre-release information on there. So you've got to be thinking about it a bit tactically as to, right, of course, it's going to be the same sort of format and syllabus on there, but it's going to change in terms of time and length for it. But it's a case of, do you want to go for the 4-hour one in June, or do you hold off doing SBL and doing it in the new format come September on there? And that also applies to SBR, where they're having a small little sort of structural change for questions 1 and 2. So SBL is reducing in time, and it's going to be bringing out more information before the examination, but SBR is going to have a structural change in how they allocate marks on there. So just to run through as a sort of checklist, if you're taking notes down from what we've talked about, firstly, which option paper to pick for you on there based on where you're working, pass rates, future careers. We've also talked about the hardest paper that I did, which is advanced taxation, but the most beneficial one that when I go to CPD events and I'm sat there listening to the tax updates, I go, oh my word, if I hadn't done that exam, I would be really struggling right now. And then we touched on the changes in the tax and advanced taxation papers with professional skills, and then also when to tactically do taxation on there. And then finally, the ethics and professional skills module. I wouldn't recommend that you start it now, as at the time of this webinar, the weekend before your examinations in the March 2023 sitting. But after when you've completed your exam, I'd highly recommend that you actually complete the ethics and professional skills module because you've got a higher percentage chance of passing on there. So that is definitely going to help everyone out for it. So that nicely, guys, gives us a overview of all the different areas. Hugo kindly introduced the team at the start as well. And I can see that we've got quite a few questions coming in, and feel free to post it in the Q&A. That's the one I'll come to first on there. And it's really a session designed, which why I think they're fantastic, that I get invited to do these, that I just get to, you know, give my honest opinion on it. So I'm just going to come to the Q&A. If you've got a question in the regular chat, feel free to copy and paste it into the Q&A so other students can see it. And also for anyone who's watching the recording, I'll be sure we'll link it in the sort of timings on it as well. But if you have any questions after the recording and you're watching it back, feel free to get in touch with myself or the team. And you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, all the rest of it. Just put in James on there and you'll find us. But coming on to the first question now, in our student Q&A, is from Durga on here. So Durga's put, "Hi James, I'm a graduate and got exempt from a few papers. Fantastic. I've had a study gap for many years and my first ACCA exam is financial reporting in June 2023. Okay, cool stuff. So you've got 3 months of studying to go. 2 questions from Durga. What is your best advice for those who got exemptions and directly appeared for financial reporting? Do I need to study the entire syllabus for financial accounting before starting to prepare for financial reporting? And then the second question is, how do I restart my studying journey after many years of a gap? As this is my first ACCA exam, and I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous and fearful on that." Okay, so that actually applies to a few people, well, quite a few students' journeys, should we say, that people have study gaps for maybe children, or if they move companies or countries, whatever it may be. So I think we'll come on to question 2 first, about restarting your study journey after a study gap, because you're most likely actually going to be sort of out of the habit of studying. Your concentration might not be the same like it used to be on there. But the best way to get around it, and for anyone else who has study plans with, study problems about planning, is what I used to do. The 2 methods on it, different people work in different ways. So I'm going to give you them both, okay? First one that worked best for me was, I'm quite a pen and paper visual person, okay? So what I did, I got a calendar, and it's one of those wall chart calendars that had every single month on it. And I used to write on the calendar, okay, James, right, we've got to write on here when your examination is. And I used to write on it there and say, and we had like a little countdown to say, right, there's 1 week to go, there's 2 weeks to go, there's 3 weeks to go on that. And it just sort of gave me perspective, because you probably felt like these March exams, it doesn't feel like yesterday, it was the new year on there. So having that accountability, that I could visually see it every day, and it helped me to actually write on there to record that, oh, on that day, I did 1 hour of tuition, or 1 hour of revision, or 1 hour of question practice. So that I used to write this on every single day on there, whatever I did. And you know what, some days I didn't have time to do anything, so it stayed blank. That's okay. But it helped me to show me the progress as to what I was making. And then the second sort of tactic is that obviously we're in a sort of digital age of phones and everyone tracking everything now, but blocking out time, again, for anyone who's got pen and paper here today, first one, wall planner. Second one is blocking out time in your calendar. And that is honestly been a game changer for me, where I literally say, if I don't study in this 1.5 hours, or if I don't record that YouTube video in that 1.5 hours, I haven't got time on there, because I've got work commitments. I've got if I'm popping to see my parents or something like that. I don't have any children, but I can definitely tell you from my friends that I have children. They take up a lot of time, as you would expect on there. So it gets you into the habit to say, oh my word, I can't procrastinate. I can't sit on my phone. If I don't get this hour done now, I don't have time to do it any other time on there. So in terms of restarting your studying journey, starting off with mechanisms like that to help you plan it, and so that you can actually plan out your week ahead on there. And then the final thing is also whereabouts you are studying, because lots of people now struggle with, working from home as to, where do I actually work? So finding your working environment that when you sit down there, you work, that's it. In the same way that I some of my students tell me, oh, James, I revise in bed and stuff. I'm revising in bed. Just find a desk and sit down, because when you go into your bed, that's where you sleep on it. You need to find yourself a desk and sit down and go through it like that. So it's all about the environment you're in. And it's like my desk here. Every time I sit down here, all I do is just, this is it. This is work. I put on my study computer glasses and it helps me focus it. So yes, hopefully that helps you, Durga, and for everyone else who's joining. The public libraries are also very good on there. I would recommend that you try out if you haven't already. Absolute game changer. I used to go every Saturday and Sunday because I was cool as well on there. But everyone was working there. It's a working environment. And then this also applies to anyone who's maybe going on to the jump from audit and insurance to advanced audit and insurance, but we're looking at financial accounting to financial reporting. If you're thinking that you're going to struggle, if you've got exemptions or you've not done the foundation paper of what you're looking at, I would just go to the technical articles. They're free on ACCA's website. So no matter what exam you're doing, just go right onto Google, ACCA, financial reporting, technical articles, and it breaks down the syllabus areas, A to E or whatever it is on there. And I would just go through and just have a look as to what's the expectation for the level of knowledge that I need to demonstrate on there. And then also, if I haven't got any questions for it or if something's making me struggle, then it's a case of they provide examples on there. So I would definitely look at that. But if you've not studied a long time, Durga, and for anyone else on the webinar or on the recording, set yourself targets. Like today, I'm reading through chapter 1 in the core text, if you've got a hard copy, or today I'm going to watch the Viva team's lecture 1 of business technology on there. That is my goal, and then I'm going to write down all my notes on it as a result in your own words on there. So that's what I would do if I was in your shoes, Durga. So I hope the tips help on there. That's what I would be doing to help you out, just to sort of keep the ball rolling. And keyword for anyone here for studying in the future is you've got to build momentum in what you're doing. As to, you don't want to be sort of stop and start, set yourself targets as well. They really help. Joanna's puts, hi James, thanks for the webinar. You're more than welcome on there. How can we get a copy of the recording, please? Thank you. So if you have a look at the chat, Joanna, Hugo put in there the link up at the top. I think he's still here if we can copy and paste it again, as to where you can actually access it and sign up so you get access to all the free resources as well. On there. Plus, if you've already popped your email in today, I think you'll also be sent a recording as well. So yes, all good. Or if you ping me a message on Instagram, I'll send you a copy as well. So cool stuff. Keep the questions coming, guys. Militia as well has put, hi James, I'm planning my exams and I have tax, financial reporting, audit and assurance, and FM to go. How would you plan these? I'm going to do one exam at a time. Well, first thing, Militia, I would highly recommend you do one exam at a time. In the old days, we only had 2 ACCA sittings, so people were more forced to do it 2 at a time. And as I said at the start of the webinar, you should try and think about doing tax in June or September. The only thing is, because you've not done financial reporting, audit and assurance, financial management, and tax, to understand tax better, I would recommend that you do financial reporting first, because that's the sort of bread and butter of accounting. It links into the other areas. I would do financial reporting first, then do tax. So financial reporting in June, tax in September. Obviously, fingers crossed that you were to pass those on there. And then I would try and tactically do either audit and assurance or financial management. Say, like if you knew you were going to do the advanced audit and assurance option paper, well, then I would do financial management first, then move on to audit and assurance. So it will be more fresh in my mind. But just to reaffirm, financial reporting first, then taxation, which will be in September, and then tactically pick either audit and assurance or financial management based on the option paper you're going to select on there as well. And it sounds like you're going to have a very fun time doing it. It'll be all right. Joanna's put another question. Cool stuff. Hi, James. Question about doing 2 exams at a time. Is it worth doing it? And also pushing myself as I study on the side of a full-time job? Or would you recommend just focusing on 1 exam? I thought about sitting tax and PM in June 2023, but I'm a bit scared in case it's actually going to be too hard. Technically, not in a rush, but would be great to go through ACCA quicker, even though I've been planning on doing 1 exam in a quarter. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's honestly, Joanna, honestly, that is a really fair question. I get quite a lot of the time on there. Personally, for me, I would recommend you do 1 exam at a time. The only time I would not recommend that is there's a 7-year rule when you get to the strategic papers, that once you've sat your first strategic paper, you then have 7 years to pass SBR and SBL, and then complete your 2 option papers. So that's where some people who maybe start a family or move country fall into difficulty, that what they don't want to do is pass 3 exams, 1 to go, and then they may have to go back and redo them all. So if I was you, and I'm assuming you've also already done financial reporting, honestly, I would just do tax by itself in June, get stuck into it, especially if you're not working in the tax sector. Yes, I would just make your life a bit easier. Plus, if you're working full time, I used to work full time when I was doing my studies, and every time I did two exams, I passed one and failed the other. And I just tell students now, it's not worth it. Just do one at a time. You can take as long as you want doing the foundation papers. So yes, tax definitely on there. And a warning for anyone who's got PM coming up next week or in June or whatever. Section C for performance management, it's that important. I can't even get my words out. That there is so much variability that they could test you on anything from break-even analysis to variances on there. Costing can come up, different forms of budgets, and you can do so many past papers. You can do 20 Section C questions and only 2 come up. And you might actually do 10 Section C questions and you go, something came up that I wasn't even expecting. So Joanna, coming back onto it, just do tax in June, because then you've got, in case you had to resit, you've got plenty of time. And PM, honestly, it's only got a 40% pass rate because of that variability. Really, really tough sort of paper on there. But again, I've done some videos online. You can check them out on YouTube as well. That will give you some insights. And I've also done some videos with students, how they got on. So I hope the advice helps, Joanna. And we'll catch up in June, and you'll go, I told you so. Maybe, you know, on there. So Willie's put, what's your advice to someone who is thinking of taking 2 papers per exam session, for example, SBR and Advanced Audit Assurance? Salawi, on there, I would highly recommend that you do not do that for SBR and Advanced Audit Assurance, because SBR is like the stepping stone up to Advanced Audit Assurance. So I always recommend to all ACCA students that you do SBR first by itself. It's only got a 50% pass rate, and then you go on to Advanced Audit Assurance. Unless you have got a time limit or something on those lines, where you just want to get it done for maybe looking for a pay rise or a promotion at work, I would just do one. Honestly, SBR is so tough about learning the standards, and it applies to audit assurance as well. So yes, Salawi, I would recommend just do SBR, and you'll thank me on that, especially when you see the stuff. Dakshita put hello, that's all right. Hello to you too, Dakshita. Will this recording be later if I missed the beginning from Dakshita? Of course it will be. If you signed up with your email, we'll send you a copy of it over as well. But yeah, that's okay. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A. I want to come back to the chat in a second, but we're going to answer these as well. Marva's put, I've not studied for a long time. I will like to sit law and FM in June. Do you recommend to do the 2 together or one at a time, or are they a good combination? So Marva, I'm assuming you've got exemptions from the first papers as to financial accounting, management accounting, and business technology. Maybe you've done your AAT or something like that. Okay, so the logic is you would go on to law because that is the F4 paper. And to be honest with you, I would recommend you do law in June. Okay, because it's the one that people just want to sort of get out of the way. It does link into some other areas, but again, you don't have to do much law really coming into any of the other papers. You're not going to get asked about offer and acceptance in any other papers on there, but you need to have some understanding of regulation laws and applying it to scenarios. So law, I agree with you, Marva, definitely do that in June on there. But then coming on to your next option, if you want to do 2. So law is an option to do it with another on there. But to be honest with you, I always recommend for people to do financial reporting first of all, because financial reporting links into the other examinations as to income statement, balance sheet on there, cash flows, and some of the topic areas fall into the financial management exam. So it's a case of, if I was you, because you've already done financial accounting, financial reporting exam, the F7 exam, would be a good combination with it on there for you. So that's the one, Marv, I would do if I was you. But if you've already done financial reporting, potentially go for tax, or if you've already done tax, then maybe go for financial management on there. But I think you've got better options as to which will help your sort of ACCA journey going through on there, Marva. So I hope that helps answer it. Yes to doing law. I would do financial reporting with it, or potentially tax if you've already done that one on there. So feel free to keep the questions coming in, guys, as well. More than happy to give you a detailed answer on there. I'm just going to come to the main chat on there. Doug has put, thank you very much, James, for guiding me. You're more than welcome on there. Hang on, we've got another question on here. So Melicia's put, James, I have PM in June, so I have a full 3 months to prepare, but I'm clueless regarding time management. What would your advice be on how to organize my time? I'm in full-time employment on there, from Malaysia. Okay, Malaysia, that's cool. That's a really good question as to students who I help out, who sort of come to me, we get in touch, or I help to advise them at webinars like this. It's a case of what you need to do is have a sit rep, sort of just say, right, as at today, okay, 3rd of March, and this is what I would do if I was you, Malaysia, okay? And for anyone else who's got June exams coming up, maybe do this after if you've got your March exam. So first thing is get that all planner, get that sort of work calendar, whatever you've got your accountability on, and put in your calendar that examination on there. So you know, as at the 3rd of March to, it'll probably be sort of the 3rd of June, you know when the exam is. So your brain kicks in to say, hang on a second, that is not that far away, okay? Because I can see from Malaysia, you put in the Q&A, but I've got a full 3 months. Honestly, it will fly by on there. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, I need you to identify in your work calendar, or again, on that all planner chart, whatever works best for you, is when you've got commitments in your life on there. So that's obviously that you've got full-time employment, so that's going to be working Monday to Friday. But then also on top of it, have you got any sort of family holidays? Have you got weddings? Have you got any personal trips? Have you got hen do's or whatever it is, to say, on that day, I'm unable to do any studying, okay? So that actually helps you identify the next key point, and again, it's going to help anyone else out, is when are my completely free days? When do I wake up on a Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it may be, and I don't have anything going on? So I've got a full free day, because those are like gold dust that you can then sit down, do a full mock paper on these sort of things, and you're going to have a more productive study time on there. So identifying your free days, really helpful thing, because then what will happen is you'll actually identify that maybe you've only got 8 free days, and you go to yourself, oh my word, if I want to do these past papers and mock papers and all these sort of things, crikey, that is going to be very, very difficult. Right, next thing is, key point is set targets on there. And this is where you've got to say to yourself, by what date will I have all the tuition, whether I'm doing it online through a provider on there, or maybe you're actually doing it online with a provider, and I know lots of students buy the books as well, is that it's got to be sort of 4 weeks before the exam. So maybe, what will that be? May, June. Yeah, so the 4th of May on there, 1 month before your examination, you should be basically finished with the tuition and getting on to revision questions on there. So that's setting a target a month before the exam. All your tuition has to be all done on there. You can obviously come back to it, have a look at it, whatever it may be. There'll be topic areas that are a bit of an issue, but that's why I recommend that in the 4 weeks going up to your exam, you should be referring to the ACCA technical articles, doing past paper questions, revision questions on there. So that is where setting that target's really key. And then the next target is 2 weeks before your examination, you should do a mock test to time on the CBE platform as if it was the real thing. Because I would rather know 2 weeks before my exam that I'm not up to standard and I've got to really sort of, right, time to get serious sort of thing, versus lots of students will be doing their mock paper this weekend, which is too late on there. Still going to be beneficial, don't get me wrong, but it's too late really in my eyes, because the learning curve needs to get better as to, we need to debrief, we need to have a look to see how we got on in time management, different areas on there. So that's what I would do, Militia, if I was in your shoes as well. So I hope that helps for you. Feel free to let me know in the chat if it was helpful as well. And also, whilst we're just talking about feeding back and you guys getting the most value, is that ACCA have actually released a breakdown of, say, if you did an exam in December in 2022, you can go into your My ACCA and just for your notes for today as to what to do after James's webinar, go and log into your My ACCA and it will show you on your last exam, whether you passed it or failed it, where you actually picked up on the marks. So it breaks it down from sections A, B, and C, and then says how you got on with knowledge, how you got on with applying back to the scenario. All these sort of things is really, really, really helpful, where, again, it gives you a brutal answer to your eyes, but not many students actually look at it on there. So just log in. It's sort of called exam review, I think it is, or exam debrief, top of my head. But you'll definitely find it on there. 100% what I'd be looking at if I was in your shoes for you. Marvelous puts. Thank you very much, James. I've been working in accounting firms for over 20 years. I do financials from receipts to full financials with notes. Oh, cool stuff, Marva. So that tells me that you'll be more comfortable with the financial reporting examination to get kicked off on there. So that's what I'd be recommending for you, Marva, especially if that's your experience on there. So financial reporting, having a look through the different standards, and then also applying it to the scenario on there, along with ethics. Everyone on here has to be competent with the ACCA Code of Ethics, no matter what exam you're doing. So definitely get that put down in your notes for this weekend on there to go through them. Be comfortable with applying integrity, confidentiality to scenarios, just as an example on there, for your examinations. It'd be criminal marks to throw away. But thank you very much, Marva. I'm glad the advice helps. Next sort of question on here we've got is, Ayanda has put, I took financial reporting and got 78%, marvelous, and audit insurance 64% in the December sitting. Crikey, Ayanda, there'll be people on this chat who will bite your hand off for those marks for June, for March. Pass them both. Next week, I have performance management. I'm also planning on doing tax and FM in June. Do you think I'm going too fast? I'm self-studying it and doing it. Oh, okay. So if you're studying full-time and doing the exams, then obviously you've got a lot more time compared to someone who is working full-time on there. So, I mean, most people working full-time on their contracts are told to do 40 hours a week, but I know lots of people who work in everything from the big four to practice to industry, and there'll be people who are listening on the chat now just there going, oh, I know, James. Oh, I know, 50, 60, 70-hour weeks, weekends catching up, traveling, all this sort of stuff. If I was you, Ayanda, and make sure, obviously, great stuff. Get the exams underway and some fantastic results there. But what you should be looking to do is to actually find an employer that you can go and work for, because you're going to have to get the professional experience on there. And what the best way to actually get your tuition paid for is through what is known as an accounting study contract. And this is where I was on one, as you saw from my photos at the start, where an employer pays for your studies. So it might be, you could say, oh, I really want to study through Viva on there. So it's a case of, well, they would say, right, okay, we will subsidize the amounts that it will cost for the tuition on there. So it's a case of yes, we will pay for it, and you come and work for us at the same time. So Ayanda, I would highly recommend that you have a look on that to do it. So yes, do a study contract, get your experience going as well. And yes, do that sort of approach. I would say it's the most beneficial, that you get the experience, you get paid by an employer, and then also what you don't want to fall into is finishing all your exams. You've got limited experience, and you can go, oh, I'm an ACCA affiliate, but then you might be starting on a training contract anyway on there, because you still need to learn the ropes of what goes on in the particular role. So yes, maybe doing then just tax in June and then doing FM in September. Just do one at a time, and then start to apply for roles, even if they're part-time, to earn some extra money as well, Ayanda, I would say, on there. Good grief. I'm trying to give detailed answers on this. I hope that helps. I'm coming back to the real chat, because I've actually just looked at the time and gone, oh my word, we're getting on for 2 o'clock. So Hugo, if you're still here, feel free to come back on camera, my friend. You'll be all right. But fantastic to see. We've got Durga's put a lovely thank you. Melicia's put a lovely thank you as well. Super stuff. Dion's put, I do the same thing with the calendar, but also use it to break down the chapters into manageable chunks, so studying is not as daunting. Absolutely fantastic. Also sort of crossing it off as well. Dion also helps. I'm quite a pen and paper kind of guy. So what I do is I literally write down what I'm going to do for the day, and then just cross it off on there, because it makes me feel good at the end of the day. I feel like I've made progress on there. Also, okay, Melisha covered your questions on there. Will's put, can I still use the financial accounts book for the 2023 advanced taxation exam? You can use the previous year's, Will, of the tax syllabus. But what I would recommend, if you do that, is log on to ACCA's website and then have a look at the new syllabus for advanced taxation. Go into the new syllabus, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it shows you all the little updates at the bottom on there. If you can't find it, drop me a message on Instagram and I'll send you a photo of where to find it on there. All stuff. We've got time for one quick question from Marva, just asking when I have completed the law and financial reporting exam, when do I do FM? You could do it straight after, Marva, to be honest with you. Getting the financial reporting exam done with law is your main first step. What you should do is get those out of the way, and then come along to another webinar like this, and we can have another sort of catch up, sit rep on there, and advise, I would say. But yeah, financial management, you can do any sitting throughout the year, so nothing to lose sleep about on there. But ladies and gentlemen, good grief, we are approaching the end of the webinar. Gosh, where does the time go when you're having so much fun on these things? Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who's come along today. I've really enjoyed it, answering all your questions directly. And it'll be great to see you at another Viva webinar with myself in the future. We'll be doing more collaborations, also not just on here, but also on sort of Instagram, YouTube. So you can put in my name, if you just put in James Wright ACCA. We both follow each other. We share each other's details on there as well. But I'm just really want to say, really best of luck ahead of your examination for next week. Hope it goes well. The usual sort of things. Make sure you've not got too many distractions. Good night's sleep, hydrating yourself, proper food, all the rest of it. Getting in your steps. Don't be sat down at your desk all weekend for 8 to 10 hours. Fit that in, and hopefully we'll catch up at another webinar soon, so that we'll be hearing that, oh, came to that webinar with you guys, and that was the difference in getting me the 50 plus on there. So thank you very much for all the lovely comments that are coming and flooding into the chat. So thank you very much, Sandra, Silwane, and Melisha as well. I hope you guys have a very productive weekend. Thank you, Hugo, as well, for the lovely introduction at the start, and to all the team who have set up today's webinar and put it on for us. So like I say, follow us on social media so you get access to it, and also download, honestly, it's so good, the free book that the team have as well. You get access to it. It nicely breaks down. I reviewed it for the team as well, and I went, crikey, this is top notch, and it's definitely going to help out any ACCA student who's struggling on sort of how do I start off with financial management, all those sort of things. So if you're heading back to work now, or if you've joined us on your lunch break, thank you so much for your time. I know we've just ticked over 2 o'clock. I hope you have a fantastic day. Keep in touch. I will see you ahead of the June examinations, or if any of you are going down to the Accountex conference in May or whatever it is, who knows? I might actually see you there. I was in London over the weekend, and I kid you not, I was in King's Cross Station, and a lad came up to me. I went, aren't you that guy that does ACCA videos? I passed my tax exam because of you. One of those moments you go, oh, that was a fun train home. Good stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with my life on any more of this. So thank you very much for all the lovely comments in the chat, guys. We'll be sending out the recording of this, and I look forward to seeing you at another webinar soon. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Best luck with your exams, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.